Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Everyday History Podcast about the history of racing.
Ooh.
I'm Dustin Lloyd, and with me as always is Hot Rod Kirby. So we're not really going to fool around here in the beginning like we normally do. Well, maybe a little bit. We always like to bullshit.
This is serious business this week, folks.
Serious business. We're both coming off of a WrestleMania weekend.
Right, and poor Dustin here's got the WrestleMania hangover and still got to go to work.
WrestleMania hangover.
Which segues us into a nice little segment. Not really, but this is a part where I'm like, give me your money, please. This man should not have to record an episode and then still go to work, right?
Boo Boo's bullshit. Oh, but in all seriousness, leave us a like, comments, or whatever in the, wherever you're listening to us at, and join our Patreon and maybe help us not have to work anymore.
Shit's free. Do it. Except the Patreon. Everything else
Patreon's
free.
Patreon's free for 1 week, and then it's
Free.
$3 a month after, so free.
Fuck yeah, we're like Blue Chew. It's free for a little bit, and then you gotta pay.
So yeah, last episode we covered the history of racing with chariots, and even led into a little bit of the modern day.
That's right.
Ish.
I think we bookmarked it around the 1900s, right? Or was it like late 1800s?
It was close enough. It was 1894 was our last one.
Okay.
The first race that took place. First automobile race that took place. But today we're traveling to the 1920s and 30s.
Oh no.
Prohibition was a thing, and outlaws would transport illegal alcohol to buyers using cars that they would modify to outrun law enforcement.
Allegedly, the country was depressed too.
It was greatly depressed.
The big depression.
These cars would lay the groundwork for stock cars and drag racing. And sometime during the 30s, these bootleggers, as they were called, began
Horrible
racing
drink.
There's little bottles you can get at the gas station.
Yes.
I remember we used to sell them at one of the gas stations I worked at. They always sounded so horrible.
They are bad.
Sour apple.
Sour asshole.
Can't say I've ever had one, but I've heard that they taste like kerosene.
They taste the way they look. Like, it just looks greasy. It is.
Oh, like shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny
Man,
bootleggers.
buy my drink, dame.
Yeah, get drunk, you silly broad. So these bootleggers, as they were called, began racing at fairgrounds, mostly for themselves, but spectators began showing up to enjoy the races. And not just a few either. Like, there were tens of thousands of people started paying to see these guys drive.
Oh, wow.
And basically they were just showing off, their cars and what they could do, and plus, their own driving abilities, because they learned a lot running from cops, I guess.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but this was around the time that a man named Raymond Park got involved. And he was the first person to start a formal racing team, or at least automotive racing team. We've already discussed, the Romans and whatnot.
Yeah. I bet the horses are still faster.
And we're going to do a little bit of personal lore on this guy.
It's personal lore time.
When he was just 14, he ran away from home to become an apprentice to a moonshiner. A moonshiner he met when he was in prison for attempting to buy illegal alcohol for his dad at the age of 14.
Son of a bitch, life is a circle.
Hey, you little rugrat, go down and buy me some alcohol.
You got locked up for booze, huh? How'd you like to really get into booze?
How would you like to really get into it?
Why not double down, huh? In for a penny, in for a pound.
It sounds like the most 20s thing to say.
Everybody had the transatlantic avenue
Oh, definitely.
accent.
Even in the South, where this was.
Hell yeah.
So he ended up making a small fortune through bootlegging and began to invest his crime money into service stations as well as a new sport called stock car racing.
Huh.
So he hired his cousins, Lloyd Say and Roy Hall, who coincidentally were two of the top moonshine runners in his home state of Georgia.
Talk about nepotism.
Yeah, no shit. But they were renowned for their ability to outrun the law through sheer speed and sharp turning skills. They could turn right with the best of them, or left, I guess it would be.
It's a common misconception that stock car racers only turn left, but little did you know, they can also turn right.
On rare occasions, yes.
On rare occasion, it has been documented, I'm sure, somewhere.
Are you shaking a bottle or are you jacking off?
Do you want the podcast appropriate answer?
Yes.
I'm shaking a bottle.
The real answer
Sorry, I
is none
didn't
of
even
your
think
business.
of that. My bad, dude.
No, I had to make a joke out of it. It probably, the funny thing is when we edit this, it probably won't even be in the background anymore. So it's just going to be me randomly asking you if you're jerking off.
No.
I would never.
Not on live air.
Well, putting our dicks down for a second, he also hired a mechanic down the road from a shop he owned named Red Vogt, V-O-G-T. What a weird last name. Thankfully, he had a nickname. He was called the Bootlegger's Mechanic.
Wow, very to the point. That
Yeah,
nickname.
they weren't really creative with nicknames, so that's pretty self-explanatory.
That's proper nicknames had outside of Italian mobsters.
Yeah, like he could have been Johnny Two Wrenches or something. It would have made more sense.
Right, fucking Robert Ratchet. Nah, sorry guys.
Lugnut Holly.
Yes.
Oh, so Cousin Lloyd won the 1930. Sorry. Oh, wow, my eyes are still blurry from just waking up not too long ago. Cousin Lloyd won 1938's first big stock car race in Atlanta in front of 20,000 screaming Jensen dolls. And Cousin Roy would go on to win the National Stock Rake Championship in 1941.
Oh.
Stock car racing seems to have taken a pause for the most part during World War II because there was something important going on.
Shit to do. We can do this. If we live, we can come back and do it better.
Got to take care of a few things real quick.
Right? You guys can't be laying down rubber. We need the rubber for the wall.
But in 1945, it returned to Atlanta's Lakewood Speedway.
Fuck yeah. Hitler's dead. All is right in the world.
Let's race. However, a riot nearly broke out when police banned 5 of the racers, including Cousin Roy.
Oh, not Cousin Roy. What the fuck?
Well, he had been convicted of liquor trafficking and had also been arrested for various traffic charges for no less than 16 fucking times.
Oh, damn it, Cousin Roy.
But they banned the other racers for similar reasons, and the place started to riot and grew angry. They were even chanting his name at one point. Cousin Roy. I don't know if they were doing that.
I just imagine that video of that British dude. What is the crime, sir? You know what I'm talking about? Like police are arresting him, and he's just like, "On what charges am I being arrested, sir?"
for participating in a succulent race.
Succulent and veiny.
So eventually, the police, didn't want to riot, and they were like, "Oh, all right, you guys go ahead and race. We'll do it." So Cousin Roy went on to win the race, which is pretty cool. But after the race, Atlanta, the speedway said, "You guys are no longer welcome back."
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, because of the riot. I don't know.
But you guys bring a lot of cop attention here, and we do not like it.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was that. Maybe it was they didn't like the fact that everyone was chanting their names. I don't know. Chanting for criminals.
Hey, why aren't you? Hey, we do stuff too. Can we get some of those cheers?
My name is Bob. Chant Bob.
I filled the fucking pothole in the road. You don't see anybody throwing me a goddamn parade.
So this led to a meeting amongst mechanics, drivers, and team owners in Virginia Beach, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Best beach in the world, Virginia Beach. Nah, just kidding. It's all right.
Dirty. I went there for vacation last year. It was actually all right. It's smelly, but it was all right.
It's not too bad. Chesapeake Bay stank. Like, not stink, but stank with an A.
I blame the seagulls.
Yeah.
So, this little meeting was led by a driver named Bill France. And they wanted to establish some standardized rules. And that meeting took place in December of 1947 And it ended with the founding of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, or NASCAR for short.
What? It's an acronym?
It is an acronym, and I didn't know that for the longest time.
Mind blown.
So, to kind of sum up that little segment there, NASCAR was literally built on moonshine, which, despite how anyone feels about NASCAR or racing in general, I think that's pretty fucking cool.
And I think the American redneck should pat himself on the back.
Well, here we go with the American redneck again, but
I'm
you're right.
just saying, man, you take that fucking moonshine out the back, you might go a little faster.
Yeah, I was making a right left turn, and I took another left
Got
turn.
a great idea, man. Let's go straight, then turn left. And
Repeatedly.
And snowball off my own idea here. All right, we turn left again.
But we do it going really fast.
Yeah, actually impressive. Okay, like to anybody that wants to get all upset. Oh, you don't know. No, I'm not saying you will. But anybody that wants to get upset and be like, man, you don't understand the physics behind it. Blah 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 blah. Look, I you're right. Okay, I don't drive. I don't drive fast. I'm a safe driver. Okay, so I don't have that appreciation.
Now, there really is something to say for the skill of driving those speeds.
Yeah,
Like, there's
I mean,
no
there's
margin
a lot
for
of
error.
math and shit like that, right? Like you
Yeah,
said.
and just the slightest mess up could take out the entire field of racers.
But you sick puppies love that. You rejoice in it.
I do.
I like a good crash too.
Right. So, while NASCAR was being birthed by Prohibition and the American redneck, the seeds for drag racing were being sown on the West Coast. So, like, after WW1, it became pretty popular to fuck around with cars.
Hell yeah.
Which brings us to another personal lore time.
2 in 1, what?
Oh, yeah. We're going to take a look at the guy who helped make drag racing mainstream.
It's personal lore time.
We're starting here because he was kind of a product of this old-timey street culture. We're going to look at a man named Wallace Gordon Parks, also known as Wally, as was the style at that time. He was born in 1913 in the little village of Lamar, Colorado, and in 1910, Lamar was a village of about 3,000 people according to the U.S. Census.
It's practically a city.
Today, there's about 7,687 people.
Huh.
So, in comparison, the town I live in doesn't even appear on the census.
Right. Do y'all even have a post office there?
We have one post office.
Okay,
One
you're
little
in town.
tiny post office. About the size of a living room.
BFE, Virginia, folks, in case you wondered. BFE.
Oh, yeah. BFE indeed. So, despite it being such a small town, Lamar has had several notable people that were either born or lived there, and all of them are dead now.
Aww.
Except for two guys. Who,
Yay.
coincidentally, are both retired MLB pitchers.
Aww. Oh, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, they're both retired pitchers from from Major League Baseball. Sandy Vance, who I've heard of for some reason, even though he only played one season before retiring from arm injuries. And Sandy Vance. And Scott Ellerton, who played for 10 seasons, but since I don't know who they are other than hearing the one guy's name, and I don't really care about them because they're not really relevant to the story, we're just going to keep moving on.
No personal lore for you.
No personal law for you. So we're going to go back to old Wally. Wally. Parks.
Wally.
His family moved to L.A. in 1923 when he was about 10 years old. And growing up during this time, he got to watch in real time as the old horseless carriage, as I feel no one ever actually called it, started to transform the American landscape, and from it came the hot rodding culture in the 30s and 40s. Young car enthusiasts began modifying cars for speed and performance, but with options like speedways and racetracks for outlets for this new passion, being few to none. A lot of the early hot rodders took place in illegal street racing, and Wally Boy recognized the pros and cons of this, as well as the potential and the danger in this new hobby, and set out to create a safer, structured environment for the high adrenaline, high speed, hog sucking competition.
Yes.
Had to throw hog sucking in there again.
Of course.
So in 1937, Wally helped with the founding of the SCTA, the Southern California Timing Association, which held organized time trials for cars to, race.
He almost spelled scat.
It's basically, you jumble the words around, you're good. All you have to do is switch the T and the A, and it's
That's
scat.
right. Scat. And if you don't know what that is, good.
Like they could have called it the Southern California Association of Timing and called it scat. I missed out on a big opportunity there.
Right, that would have aged beautifully. Especially for us.
Right. The first official time trials were held on Muroc Dry Lake in 1938, and Muroc would eventually become NASA's Edward Air Force Base.
Oh.
Interestingly enough. Yeah, I didn't know that. And when the property was sold to NASA, the SAT, you know what, we're just going to call it SCAT. The SCAT organization
Yes.
bounced around. Hashtag SCAT. Bounced around a few times before they settled on the dry lake called El Mirage, or as I like to call it, El Mirage.
Nice. I like that
Isn't
little
right.
twist.
And in 1948, Wally became both the co-founder and first editor of a brand new magazine, which was simply titled Hot Rod Magazine.
Hey. Hot Rod Kirby.
Magazine. Oh, yeah, you're Hot Rod Kirby today.
Boo.
Boo. It's a magazine that's still available today. Like, they still make it. But it's now quarterly instead of monthly. It used to be monthly. My uncle, I believe, had a bunch of these when I was growing up because he was a mechanic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my buddy's dad, and if you listen to this, you know I'm talking about you, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I'm pretty sure there's, like, old, like, 2004 issues and shit like this. This lobby is stuck in the early 2000s. The same dust, the same pages.
We won't go down that road because it's a rocky one.
Oh!
Oh! Nobody gets that except for him if he's listening.
He's not listening. You fucking
No, he's
piece of
not,
shit.
This
see, I'll
could be
never
the
have
one
to deal
episode he
with-
listens to.
Right. He's gonna be like, oh, dude, they did it on Hot Rods. He'll be like, fuck, egg on my face. I don't mean it, Rocky. If you made it this far, you're a trooper.
We hope you listen, though.
Please.
So, let's see. I've already lost where I was at. Okay, anyway, this magazine became a massive success, and it was the first major publication that was dedicated entirely to hot rod culture and performance vehicles. And through his role as the editor, Wally made a point to promote technical knowledge, safety, as well as respectability within the hot rod community. He wanted
Wow.
it to be seen as a legitimate hobby and not just an outlaw street racing activity.
Oh, shit. So he's like the Jackass guys, or the Street Outlaw guys. Just because we're dumbasses, don't mean you can be dumbasses too.
Yeah, except he was trying to take all dumbassery out of it.
Right.
He's like, here's
this is
how to do it safe.
This is beautiful. It needs to be respected, and I will not tolerate anything less.
I don't know why we're giving him a southern accent when he was born in Colorado and lived in L.A.
Yeah, I don't know.
American redneck.
I am a localized bumpkin, sir. That's why.
Certified bumpkin.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that'd make a great t-shirt.
I'd wear it.
I would too. So let's fast forward a few years, 3 years to be exact. When in 1951, Wally founded the National Hot Rod Association, or the NHRA, with the goal of creating a safe, sanctioned, formal alternative to illegal street racing. Their mission was to keep hot rodding off the street and to create a sport with rules, safety, and integrity.
You know what it sounds like to me? Sounds
Bunch of
classist.
pussies?
Well, classist, but yeah, same thing.
Oh yeah, if you're rich enough, you can do it safely.
Yeah, we promote safety. Yeah.
No, it seemed like he really did have a passion for safety in that sport.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
give
sure
him
he
that.
loved it.
His vision for drag racing was to make it a legitimate motorsport with strict safety regulations and consistent universal rules for all NHRA sanctioned events. By the way, I've been keeping my mistakes in the episodes now because it feels so choppy when I mess up and have to cut it. So you know what? You guys get to hear me as I am, my mumble mouth and all. They held regional contests and very quickly began to grow in popularity, holding their first national event, the creatively christened NHRA Nationals, in Grand Bend, Kansas, in 1955. And under Wally, as the captain, the NHRA became the largest governing body in drag racing because it was probably one of the only ones.
Right, it's kind of douchey to be like, yeah, we're the biggest. But who's your competitor, asshole? We don't talk about that. Shut up.
Have I told you about SCAT?
Sir, I implore you, please, listen to my seminar on scat.
I thought we were talking about racing.
Why are you pulling your pants down, sir? Please.
So, over the course of his career, Wally was responsible for the standardization of the quarter-mile distance, which is what all drag racing, I believe, does, or at least a standard quarter-mile race. Technical vehicle specifications that ensured that they were safe to race. Mandatory safety gear such as helmets, fire-resistant suits, and roll cages for drivers' protection. He also organized and funded public safety campaigns about hot rodding, highlighting the organization of motorsports being much safer than illegal street racing, which I would have thought was obvious, but it was likely to get the word out as an alternative that were, for people that were illegally just racing down the streets. Woohoo!
Hey, don't be like those assholes. Come do it legally.
Come be a legal asshole with us.
Hey, please.
Unfortunately, despite Wally's efforts, legal street racing remains a real problem around the world. Like, I tried to look up statistics for how many people die from these and the illegal street races, and I couldn't find a consistent number, but it is a problem for sure. Yeah, unfortunately. But
That's too bad.
I debated about going back and forth into the details of how NASCAR became as big as it was today, but honestly, it turns out that could be an episode itself. So if there's any interest in doing that, one day for sure I will if there's interest in it.
Right.
But for now, we're just going to take a look, to wrap up this episode, we're going to take a look at some of the inventions that are only around because of auto racing specifically.
Woohoo!
So, yeah, this is I would say it's some interesting stuff, but it's not. So here we go.
Shut up.
The one thing that stuck out to me is disc brakes were invented because, well, not invented, but they were perfected because of racing. The brake pads and rotors that are standard in pretty much every vehicle that I've owned, at least.
What was the oldest? It was drum brakes? Would that be the other
drum
one?
brakes, yeah. So
I don't really know the difference, but cool.
I had to Google it. I'm not a car guy.
Yeah, me either.
But drum brakes are significantly different from disc brakes, and disc brakes they're a pretty simple system. The early days of their development was the 1890s, and they were the first caliper type, which is another fancy way of describing disc brakes, I think. The first time was patented in 1902 by Frederick William Lancaster in
Nice.
his Birmingham factory, where he successfully used these brakes on Lancaster cars, which are apparently an old-timey car company I'd never heard of.
You limey bastard.
And they also are not in business anymore because they must have sucked. Anywho, these didn't really catch on because there was limited options for what kind of metals you could use at the time. So naturally, they used copper.
Right, and if you... Oh.
And the roads sucked even worse than they do today. They were rather rocky roads, as you would probably imagine.
I guess the
So the
trade-off is
copper-
we're not going as fast, right?
Right, but the copper wore so quickly, it was useless. It was completely useless. Like, they'd have to be replaced after every drive, the way it was sounding. It was so bad.
I have to go to the store to pick up brakes, but goddamn it, by the time I get to the store, I need new fucking brakes. And by the time I drive home, I need new brakes again.
I just keep crashing into stuff to stop.
Hey, can someone smooth out these fucking roads?
So, after many years and, trial and error, the system was pretty much refined by a Jaguar C-Type racing car that won the 1953 24 Hours of Le Mans race. I don't know what that is, but it sounds kind of fancy.
Drop a comment below if you know.
It was the only car in the race that was using that particular brake system, and it was also the first car at the Le Mans, to average over 100 miles an hour.
Nice.
So it was not only the fastest car in the race, obviously, it won the race. So
it was not only fast, but capable.
And the big factor was that the drum brakes that the other cars were using could match the stopping power of those discs. Like, they could stop just as good, but the problem was the disc brakes had more stopping or staying power. Like, they lasted way longer.
Okay.
They could take the constant abuse.
Brilliant.
So fire-resistant suits, which we kind of talked about earlier, were introduced in 1967. A drag racer named Bill Simpson, who's no relation to Homer,
Damn it.
collaborated with NASA astronaut, I didn't know this, Pete Conrad, to help develop the Homex fire suits. And in 1967, after they were introduced, they were made mandatory in most motorsports. And interesting enough, Bill Simpson also helped invent the parachute system for drag racing.
Shit.
Yeah, he did that in 1958, and that was also made mandatory, so that's pretty cool.
Someone hit a wall and he was like, "Don't."
Go! Another crucial invention was the Hans device.
Hans
Device. Sorry. It stands for Head and Neck Support Device, and it prevents the driver's head from whipping forward during a crash. And those violent wrecks that, are so common in motorsports
Love it.
cause the head to snap forward with so much force that can cause a basilar skull fracture,
Oh my God.
which in racing is almost always fatal. Like that's
Man.
the number one killer if my sources are right.
So like your head keeps going, but the body stays.
Yeah, your head cracks your neck cracks like a whip. Yeah. So the Hans device basically secures your neck, and it's a system that goes around your neck. It's not attached to the seat, it's attached to your body, so it helps your body move forward in a more natural way to not die.
Okay. Probably good.
Oh yeah, probably good for sure. And it was first sold in 1990 by the Hubbard Downing Incorporated company.
Was that before or after Earnhardt?
Earnhardt died in 2001. This was 11 years before.
Oh, okay.
However, none of the major racing safety companies wanted anything to do with it.
They're like, yeah, it's pussy stuff. It's yeah, I don't support Germany, so I ain't buying no fucking Hans device.
Who's this Hans guy?
Right? Who's Hans and why is he putting his hands on people's necks?
So it wasn't until 1994, unfortunately, when a couple of tragic accidents took the lives of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna in Formula One. It caused the company to take an interest in implementing it. So Formula One started to use those around that time. That made it mandatory to use the Hans device. Now here's where I learned something that proved how bad my memory is. You brought up Dale Earnhardt's death earlier. I remember that in 2001, August. I was like 12 years old. But my recollection of the event was that NASCAR made the Hans device mandatory right after.
Yeah,
because
I
remember all the media hype and all that stuff.
What's happening? Okay.
It says you're recording on a separate track for some reason. Maybe your internet is kind of slow today.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Sorry about that. Anyway,
that's all good.
So it wasn't right after Earnhardt's death?
No, actually, it was. The media focused extensively on how the Hans device would have most likely saved Dale's life, and NASCAR did not make it mandatory, despite the investigation into the accident that basically proved that. It wasn't until a few months later at another NASCAR event, which another company was running, with NASCAR, some sort of big weekend event. Mm-hmm. And another accident happened that killed Blaze Alexander it was a 2-car incident during the final stretch of the race, or final lap of the race, right?
Oh, man.
Oddly enough, the other driver involved in that wreck was Kerry Earnhardt, Dale's oldest son.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of him.
I can't say I have earlier. I mean, Dale Jr. is obviously the most famous. I knew he had other sons.
I didn't. I thought there was just, he really loves his son to name him Junior. Ha, just kidding. I know that's not true. You actually hate your kids.
But 2 weeks after that event, that's when the Hans device was made mandatory. And that was in October. So, yeah, it took them a bit of time to actually make it mandatory.
They're like, you can't cherry pick one crash and implement that stupid device because of one crash. And then I imagine the next one happened and the guy's just standing there crossing his arms, pursing his lips like, all right, God damn it.
It's a pussy device.
God damn it. All right, put the fucking pussy device in the cars. Whatever.
So now that we've pretty much sucked this topic dry.
As we do.
At least on the surface. At least on the surface. So it's probably a pretty good time to wrap it up. And I'd like to add, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow, whatever. Leave a comment in the comment section so we know we're not just talking to ourselves.
Give us your money.
Give us your money.
That's fine too.
Or don't. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Later.